If you're in the trucking industry, especially as a trucker, it's almost guaranteed that you're going to meet quite a few liars. Some companies will start with, "You will average 3,200 miles a week." My question is, who wants to drive 3,200 miles a week? That's a lot of miles. Wouldn't it make more sense if they said that you can average between $1,200 and $2,400 a week? Hi, my name is Kyle. I'm an operations manager for Interstate Transport Service and founder of iKai Logistic Partners. In this video, I will talk about mega carriers, smaller carriers, recruiters, dispatchers, operation managers, terminal managers, freight brokers, and random drivers from other companies. Let me start off with a disclaimer. I've been in this industry since 2005. I've worked for two of the largest carriers in the United States, as well as two smaller fleet companies, and I'm sharing my opinions in this video. Please understand that, again, this video is based on my experience and does not necessarily mean that my opinions and experience is an exact fit for you. Hopefully, me sharing some of my experience will help when you're gauging the temperature and making a decision between choosing a large carrier or a smaller carrier. With that out of the way, let's get to it. Truck driver recruiters, their job is to get drivers in the door. Okay, they are the first point of contact in the process of hiring drivers. When I think of recruiters, I think of snake oil salesmen. These recruiters are trained and conditioned with one thing in their mind, and that's to get the qualified driver behind the wheel that meets all the FMCSA rules and regulations. FMCSA, again, stands for Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration. They're going to tell you about all of the 3,200 miles that they can guarantee you to keep you driving. Me personally, I think it's stupid. Let's take a look at the math. The average company driver makes roughly 40 cents a mile. 40 cents a mile at 3,200 miles per week equals $1,280 per week gross before taxes. The average tax rate for a company driver is around 24%. 24% of $1,280 is about $307. So in this scenario, the driver is going to average $973 per week take-home pay. Just getting started, you've been lied to. Number one, driving 3,200 miles a week with a mega carrier is just about impossible. FMCSA rules and regulations only allow a driver to drive 11 hours per day. Most truck speeds with mega carriers are governed at 62 miles per hour. They can't go any faster. And all drivers are mandated to take a 30-minute break. So basically, the recruiter is painting a false picture that you as a driver can average 620 miles per day. FMCSA rules and regulations only allow a driver to drive 70 hours in 8 days. This means that a true average allowed legally would be roughly 2,500 miles per week. We haven't even talked about the loading and the unloading times that are going to restrict your ability to maximize your drive time. The bottom line is you as a company driver with a mega carrier, the recruiter has to paint that pretty picture of everything with their company is rainbows, pixie dust, and unicorns. They have the greenest grass that any driver's ever walked on. Basically, they're doing their job. Most drivers figure this out after the first 2 months with the company. Once you're in the door, next is going to be the dispatchers. It is the dispatcher's job to keep you rolling. They match your truck with the freight that's available to keep you rolling. Coming in the door, the recruiter lied to you, stating that they pride themselves on getting their drivers home on time. What they don't tell you is that you're stuck in a state where the freight is not available on, let's say, a Friday. That dispatcher can't get you home. You may find yourself stuck in that state until they find freight on Monday. So you may be getting home a week later than what was originally scheduled. The company is not going to let you deadhead home when the distance, let's say, is greater than 300 miles. The larger company is more focused on profit than it is their people. They can't afford to pay each individual driver that type of attention. And that's a sure bet. Now, operations managers. Operation managers are often the glue that holds the organization together. They are responsible for people, operations, budgets, project delivery, and strategy. A good or bad ops manager can make or break the delivery of a product or service. Chances are, in a larger company, this door won't be open to the average driver. If you are experiencing problems with your dispatcher and you want to go above his head, it's probably not going to happen. If you're lucky enough to get to the ops manager for complaining, you risk being sabotaged and losing your job. Large carriers don't need problem starters. It's easier to get rid of the problem drivers than it is creating work by resolving issues than it is, for their daily routines and procedures. The sad part is that most of these complaints coming from the drivers may be totally valid. Unfortunately, their priority is keep those 4,500 tractors and trailers generating income for the company. Next would be the terminal manager. A terminal manager is responsible for the overall operations that may include the warehouse, sales, administrative duties, net profit, and managing capital assets, reducing idle assets, and maximizing operation capacities. They also handle merchandising, controlling inventory, terminal budgeting, management of the personnel, and scheduling and staffing, among other duties. If a driver can't get their complaints to the operations manager, getting to a terminal manager is totally out of the question. At this point, you almost need a miracle to be heard. As a driver, you will come across other drivers from other companies while you're out there on the road. They may be bragging about how much money they make. It's not their fault that they sound stupid. And when you listen to what they tell you, like that fancy leather jacket that they're wearing, their company gave it to them. What they may not be telling you is that they had to work there as an indentured servant for 5 years, averaging about $50,000 a year just to qualify to get that fancy leather jacket. And it's advertising the company on the back of that jacket. Hey, if that's your thing, meaning, to get your ego stroked, have at it. Me personally, I'd rather be able to afford purchasing my own leather jacket, if leather jackets was my thing. In conclusion, before I share my thoughts, there's another option to consider when choosing the right carrier to drive for. Think about this question. Is it more advantageous to work for a company getting paid 40 cents a mile, or to work for a company that's making 25% of the line haul? Assume the smaller company is generating $600 to $7,500 per week. Okay, the answer is getting paid a percentage of the line haul should always be greater than that by getting paid by the mile. 25% of $6,000 obviously yields a minimum weekly check of the amount of $1,500 take home before taxes. This concludes the video. In the meantime, brush up on your math and take care.